haunted locations you should avoid this Halloween.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Titanic. I'm your host, Alexa. Okay, the title says places to avoid, but if you're looking for a seriously spooky Halloween, these could be the best places to visit. If you're new here, make sure to subscribe and ring the bell so that you never miss an upload. Before we get into today's video, head to the comments and let me know what you're dressing up as this Halloween.
Fort Garry Hotel, Winnipeg. Yikes! We get straight into it with room 202 in the Fort Garry Hotel in Winnipeg, where guests have reported some spectacles of dramatic proportion.
Some have seen blood dripping down the walls, or a ghost, or an actual woman hovering at the foot of their bed. What makes this room attract so much activity is what happened here many years ago.
A female guest was so distraught when she heard of her husband's death that she went to the closet of room 202 and took her own life. It's believed to be her haunting this hotel. The Stanley Hotel, Colorado.
This is the hotel that inspired Stephen King's novel-turned-film, The Shining. It's said that the couple who opened the hotel, F.O. and Flora Stanley, have never left. Died, sure, but never left.
The staff of the hotel have heard Mrs. Stanley playing her Steinway piano at night, and Mr. Stanley shows up in photographs on the walls of the house. Guests have experienced bags being unpacked, lights turning on and off, and children's laughter in the hallways. Experts of the paranormal say that the Stanley Hotel is the most active ghost site in the U.S. Poveglia Island, Italy. This island is a stone's throw from Venice, but in another league when it comes to warm welcomes. Since the Roman Empire, this has been one of the most feared places in history. During that time, it was used to dump those infected by the Black Plague. This recurred when the plague struck in medieval times as well. Shallow mass graves were set alight in less than standard procedures.
In 1922, a mental hospital opened on the island, a poor choice of location for people already suffering. It's not uncommon for human remains to resurface or wash up on the shore. It's now illegal to go to the island, but I'm sure that doesn't stop everyone.
Lalaurie Mansion, New Orleans.
The Lalaurie Mansion is better known these days because it was featured on American Horror Story's Coven. In the 1830s, it was home to sadistic socialite Madame Delphine Lalaurie, who committed unmentionable horrors to the slaves on her property.
Tours of the house have been quite dramatic, with guests fainting and becoming nauseous. That's enough motivation for me to avoid it. The Princess Theatre, Melbourne.
This theater opened its doors in 1886. It's most well known for its ghost, Frederick Baker, who died on stage while singing his part of Mephistopheles in Faust. After his death, the cast would still see him taking bows with them after performances. For many years, the theater kept a seat open for him, and today, it's actually considered good luck to spot him during rehearsals.
Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum, West Virginia. In 1864, this asylum opened with the dream of its architect, Richard Andrews, to provide fresh air and a bright, healing environment to 250 patients.
But by 1950, it was overcrowded with 2,400 patients. The overcrowding and the extreme treatments like electroshock therapy were inhumane.
Thankfully, in 1994, the facility was closed when mental health treatment was reformed. However, hundreds of patients passed here and were victims to suffering at this site. Ghost hunters have witnessed shadowy figures roaming the dilapidated facility to this day. Zvikov Castle, Czech Republic. Rorok was a supernatural being who was a trickster in Slavic folklore. He haunted the ancient Tower of Markomanka. The tower was built from the 1st century and was later incorporated into Zvikov Castle.
Rorok must still be wreaking havoc as there are electromagnetic anomalies that interfere with cameras and technical gear. Animals act unpredictably, and fires spontaneously extinguish themselves. Today, it's believed too dangerous to spend a night in the tower. Anyone who does, reportedly, dies within a year.
Ross Castle, Ireland. This famous phantom haunt is actually a bed and breakfast, so you can experience the nighttime antics of the ghosts firsthand.
The Ross Castle was built in the 16th century by a cruel aristocrat, Lord Richard Nugent. His daughter, Sabina, fell in love with an enemy chieftain's son, and he forbade it. The couple ended up eloping, but unfortunately, both his daughter and her new husband died.
Both Sabina and her father are spotted as specters on the grounds. Voices are heard by guests, and doors banging closed suddenly are often reported by those staying there. WOLFSEIG Castle, Bavaria.
WOLFSEIG Castle is haunted by the white woman who has walked the castle for centuries.
She's believed to be the ghost of Clara von Helfenstein, who was murdered in the 1500s by her husband, Ulrich von Laber. Fate befell Ulrich as he and his sons died suddenly soon after.
Clara seems hell-bent on revenge, so steer clear if you don't want to end up part of the legend.
Colosseum, Rome, Italy. The Flavian Amphitheater is like the haunted headquarters.
Visitors have heard the screams of the crowds when no one is around, and ghostly figures on the stairs. The vaults are full of active spirits of gladiators and actors preparing to perform, and prisoners preparing for execution.
Some claim to feel being pushed or sensing an unexplained cold touch. Others have heard the sounds of animals awaiting in the vaults for their slaughter. The Pfister Hotel, Wisconsin, USA.
Here, you can meet the hotel's founder, Charles Pfister. The trouble is, Charles died in 1927.
Visitors and staff have experienced Pfister's antics at the hotel, from strolling through the ballroom on the 9th floor to showing up on the grand staircase. He has quite a presence still in this Wisconsin hotel. Apparently, he also likes to switch on radios and television spontaneously, scaring the guests, and then continues the tricks by moving furniture and the guests' property, knocking and walking around their rooms noisily, flickering lights. Okiku's Well, Japan. The well at Himeji Castle is haunted by a legendary ghost called Okiku. She was a beautiful servant to a mighty samurai who murdered her after accusing her of stealing the 10th plate in a set, leaving behind the other 9.
He hurled her into the well, but these days she rises from the well at night, counts to 9, before shrieking and falling down again.
Hoiabaciu Forest, Romania.
This forest in Transylvania is called the Bermuda Triangle by locals. Here, strange occurrences have been reported, from UFO sightings, electrical phenomena, to the feeling of being watched.
But it's not only a recent phenomenon. Evil has been associated with this area for centuries. Peasants were murdered in the forest, and their souls are thought to be trapped there. All this paranormal activity centers around one area on a plateau in the middle of the forest. A barren circle where no life will grow. Kinarut Mansion, Malaysia. Locals in the area around these mansion ruins claim that they are haunted by local Malay ghosts. The first spirit that made himself known is the Hantu Tinggi, who is a ghost in the form of a tall tree. He disguises himself as a normal tree in the dense forest surrounding the ruins. Quite a new take on Run, Forest, Run. At night, people have claimed to see a fast-moving apparition and hearing the eerie voice of a female Malay ghost called Pontianak. Many have felt something following them when walking in the area, so use the buddy system if you're brave enough to head here. HOENSBROEK Castle, Netherlands. This castle is host to a ghost called the Blue Lady. Officially, she was Anna Katerina, who died on November 5th, 1760.
She is said to be searching for her 2 children who she lost at a young age. The children were buried somewhere in the castle walls, but she was never told where.
The Rose Hall Great House, Jamaica.
The mansion was built in the 1770s, but only started its ghostly antics in the 1820s, when Annie Palmer, aka the White Witch, moved in. Annie earned her nickname by being a well-known voodoo practitioner.
After marrying and killing the man of the manor at Rose Hall, she went on to follow that pattern twice more. When she passed one night in her sleep, another practitioner attempted to remove her spirit from the plantation, but was unsuccessful, as people still claim to see her here today. Island of the Dolls, Mexico. Okay, if this one doesn't freak you out, nothing will, and it's certainly somewhere to avoid over Halloween. This island is so creepy, it remains uninhabited. except for the haunted dolls. The story goes that a girl drowned in a canal around the island. Soon after, dolls started washing ashore. The island had one inhabitant, a caretaker called Julian, who was there for 50 years. He began to hang the dolls from the trees in an attempt to please the young girl's spirit, but it must not have worked, as he was found drowned in the same spot as the girl. Creepy.
Okay, those are a ton of creepy places so far, and we still have one more to go. But before we get there, let's talk costumes. I was always Ariel for obvious reasons, but let me know what you're going to be this year in the comments down below.
1. Bengal Fort, India. This is one of the most haunted places in India. It was built in 1573 for the son of the ruler of Amber, Madho Singh.
Turns out a sorcerer who was a tantric priest who practiced black magic cursed the entire palace after the beautiful princess Ratnavati turned him down. Before he died, he cursed the fort and imprisoned the souls of those held captive inside.
The whole town was abandoned, and the Indian government prohibits anyone from entering after sunset. Apparently, the curse is still active, and the land is still uninhabitable. Animals are unwilling to stay in the area after nightfall, and many unsettling sounds and feelings are experienced. Those who enter after nightfall are believed to never return.